The Milwaukee Bucks are making moves as they have made a very interesting move surrounding one of their former first round picks that could be very interesting and have serious implications going forward. So to break that down in this episode, as well as discuss Giannis Antetokounmpo, he spoke out on the Bucks' struggles so far this season and what his feelings are following the trade rumors and the brutal start. So to break all that down in this episode, but before we get into it, if you're a part of the 80% that aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,500 subscribers. But we have a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks are coming off of a brutal loss. But in the midst of all that, and something that kind of got lost in the shuffle here, is the fact that the Milwaukee Bucks are declining Marjan Beauchamp's fourth-year rookie option worth $4.8 million for next season. And the number 24 overall pick in the draft will be an unrestricted free agent next summer. Now, this is very interesting and has some interesting implications. This is expected. We kind of figured at this point that he wouldn't be worth the $5 million, but there's a lot of different things to discuss with this. And for one, Beauchamp and the kind of the sentiment around Beauchamp was hopefully he was going to break out. He had a decent, and we'll get into his stats and getting all that. He had a decent rookie campaign. He put up about 5 points a game. We're going to dive into it all. But the interesting thing here, again, you can look at his stats. So 5 points a game in his rookie campaign as a 22-year-old. He played 52 games. He actually started 11 games. If you think back, again, that was the season after they won the championship. You think back to that season, it was an interesting one. You were thinking, hey, this guy could be, a forward of the future for this team. He had a decent campaign. He played some decent defense, got some rebounds. He wasn't looking phenomenal. But again, this was on a Bucks team that was already competing. They were coming off of a championship. Things were looking good. And ultimately, what happened was he just never developed. Obviously, the year after, the Bucks traded for Damian Lillard. Things went downhill last season. And this year, he's appeared in 4 games. He obviously actually got in the game against the Grizzlies yesterday and had 5 minutes of play out there the day that they declined his contract. But he hasn't been playing at all. He's averaging 2 minutes a game. So there's a couple things to take from this. Obviously, they're not going to extend Beauchamp. He's not going to be a Milwaukee Buck past this year, bearing some crazy breakout at the throughout this season, which I don't think is going to happen. Even if that does happen, he's probably going to sign elsewhere. But it kind of goes to show the lack of development for the Milwaukee Bucks over the past handful of seasons, and that's kind of what's been blowing up on Twitter, blowing up among Bucks fans. Is like a lot of their first round picks just haven't been able to produce this season, or not this season, over the past handful of seasons. You think about Beauchamp, the 24th overall pick, he ended up being a bust. Some of their other first round picks, like none of them have really worked out for the Milwaukee Bucks. And that's what makes things difficult, especially difficult to swallow now that the Bucks are struggling so much. It's easy to swallow a couple of rough, first round picks, but it's really hard to swallow the pill of, hey, we have a first round pick that's hopefully going to be decent, coming off of a decent year, and then he just kind of flares out. And that happens several times over the past handful of seasons. And again, they've been giving up a lot of their picks. They've been trying to win now. They won the championship in 2021. Like, there's a lot of different things there that are good. But what's not good is the fact that they just haven't been able to develop any of these guys. And it's gotten to the point now where Bucks fans are upset with their development. And what it leads to is what we're seeing with this team right now, which is an aging, and you can arguably say declining roster to a degree here. And we're going to dive into a ton of comments and, again, the game they played yesterday. But you look at this, again, the game yesterday, in case you missed it, against the Grizzlies. The plus-minus is horrible. Giannis went 17 for 22, which was phenomenal, but everyone else struggled. Beauchamp got in. He went 1 for 3 in 5 minutes. But the Bucks are struggling this year. They're now 1-4, and the biggest problem is, for one, they don't really have any young players. We saw Andre Jackson yesterday play very solid, and they want some more energy out of him. He played 19 minutes. Fans want him to play more because they want more energy out of the other guys. So they want to see him play more. He just worked his butt off out there, got 5 rebounds. He was doing exactly what you want him to do. But the problem is, because of their lack of development for guys like Beauchamp, other guys going forward, it just gets very difficult if you are the Milwaukee Bucks to sustainably win, especially going forward now. You have an aging Dame. You have a Giannis Antetokounmpo who's still in his prime. But other than that, your roster's not looking too good. An article dropped basically calling out the flaws and what the Bucks should be looking to fix going forward and all these things. And it's time for a change at shooting guard in Milwaukee. See this here, Gary Trent Jr. is indeed this year's Malik Beasley in more ways than one. Solid scorer, helping to rehabilitate his value around the league by playing on a veteran's minimum contract. And it hasn't happened. So there's some people calling for the Bucks to change their shooting guard position. There's some people saying that Damian Lillard, he's at the phase of his career now where he's not quite what he used to be. The Bucks can't contain elite guards, and there's all these different things. And a lot of them are true. I still think Dame has a lot in the tank. He had a brutal game, obviously only putting up 4 points. It was the worst game of his season and one of the worst games of his career. But that being said, just to clue up at this point, if they can't draft effectively and they cannot develop players effectively, it's going to be very hard for them to continue to sustain winning when you have guys that are 24 years old. You are not extending their, not giving them the player option because the draft pick was a failure and that they flared out. It's not a good sign going forward, and it's what helps teams that are really good continue to grow. When you can knock down and nail those late first round picks when you're winning in your winning years, whether that's the past few seasons for the Bucks, 2021 when they won the championship, you had to nail these picks in order to continue to sustain a winning culture that will help and entice Giannis to continue to play for the Milwaukee Bucks and continue to win. So it's very interesting. It's a difficult pill to swallow if you're a fan, not because he was a great player, but because it was a pick that they could have used on other guys. They could have used as a trade asset to maybe help this team get better going forward. It's just rough, and it's something that's difficult. That being said, speaking of the difficulty, Giannis Antetokounmpo spoke out on losing. He said, losing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, losing 1. It's always frustrating. My dad used to say, why whine if you're not going to give up? I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try to come with my teammates together and go try to get a home game against Cleveland. And that's what they had to do at this point. I love this comment from Giannis. We saw from yesterday's game that Giannis is not going to give up in the season. He's not going to give up on the team. He is in it to win it this year. I mean, he carried this team to what wasn't ultimately a horrific loss, but he still did everything he possibly could within his power to score, to facilitate, to grab rebounds. No one else on the team could score aside from Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it was a very unfortunate situation. That being said, this is the comment you want to see from your leader. No matter how bad the Bucks are going to be over the next handful of games, they play Cleveland Cavaliers, not a back-to-back, but of course they play, I think, Saturday and Monday. They play 2 games in a row against the Cavs, which is really unfortunate because they're one of the best teams in the league right now. They're obviously undefeated. So it becomes very interesting when you're starting to factor in now where the Bucks currently are. Their standings are in the rough spot, but Giannis is going to go out there every single day and he's going to fight. And he's going to, again, this is a phenomenal comment from him. It's exactly what you wanted if you are the Milwaukee Bucks. It's exactly what you'd expect. And hopefully he can continue to do this because, again, they play the Cavs, Saturday and Monday. After that, you have a couple easy games. Pistons, Raptors, easy games. The Memphis Grizzlies game was supposed to be an easy game. So at some point, they actually need to win these easy games. But there's no easy games in the NBA. One other final thing I want to bring up here. As you can see here, yesterday was the first time the Bucks played a lineup with Giannis and Brook and Bobby off. The lineup was Dame, DeLon, Ajax, Prince, and Giannis. And in the 5 minutes that the group did, they were +8, 17 points, shot very efficiently, and almost a perfect, EFG, effective field goal percentage. So it's interesting now because you think about this, and these numbers aren't crazy, very small sample size. This sample size is in a game where no one was good whatsoever. So maybe Doc has to change. I mean, he knows he has to change something up. He's spoken out on it. He said that it's on him until they figure out how to win games. Change up the lineup a little bit. Get the young guys in there. Get some more energy in there. Just change up the scenery around Dame and Giannis. You're obviously going to keep Dame and Giannis in. Give Brook and Bobby, make a trade maybe for Walker Kessler. Whatever it ends up being. Something needs to change or else they're going to continue to lose games. They've lost 4 in a row. They won the first game against the Sixers and ever since then have been plummeting down. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all of this. It's a rough time right now, but we got to it's early in the season. Got to keep hope, and hopefully they can take care of business against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We'll see you later.